Firecrackers. This is the Firecracker Department, and I am Naomi Sneakos. Welcome! Welcome! We haven't talked for so long. It's crazy. For those of you who are new to the Firecracker Department, the Firecracker Department is a podcast that we started a couple of years ago, and it's basically I talk to dynamic, inspiring, exciting women in the entertainment industry about their victories, their challenges, the lessons they've learned along the way. And we just have these really great heart-to-heart discussions full of laughs, sometimes tears, but they're always so inspiring. We haven't chatted for a long time because we've been sort of gearing up for this new chapter of the Firecracker Department. I am so jazzed. I'm going to tell you a little story. So in October, we've been doing Firecracker Department for a while now, and it's been going great. But the thing is, Caitlin Kersey and I have been working on it for a while now with the help of Jen Pogue. And the problem is we've had these great dreams and exciting ideas, and we couldn't do it. It was too much. We've just had too much work on our hands getting these podcasts out. So in, I want to say October, I reached out on social media and in sort of my friend circles and said, I need some help. And like 15 kick-ass women came forward and said, I'm in. I don't know what you need, but I'm in and I want to help. So we had this meeting over at the Second City Theatre, the training center. And I think there were 15 of us there, and I got some snacks, because you got to have snacks. Caitlin brought a box of wine, because you got to have a little bit of wine. I brought Dixie cups. Well, I'll never hear the end of that one. But I brought Dixie cups because they were the only paper cups that I could find. Everything else was styrofoam, and I just refused. So we had shots of wine, and we all sat together and sort of dreamed about things that we wanted to do together. Dreamed about dreams for Firecracker Department, but also dreamed about things that we wanted to do individually. And it just caught fire. It just caught fire. It was so exciting. So now, what are we now? February. We have all these other little spin-off departments within the Firecracker Department. And just this amazing team of women that are working towards what I think is going to be a very powerful place for creative action, for women's voices, for women's stories. I'm just excited beyond belief with where it can go. So I'm pretty full of gratitude. I'll say that. I for the first even now, I wake up at 6 or 7 in the morning, just so excited about the possibilities of what could happen with Firecracker Department that I'm so grateful to those gals that stepped forward, because it made me feel like I was supported and that I could dream. That's incredible. I want to tell you a little bit about everybody in this team now. Caitlin and I have been working together for a while now. She's fantastic. She's just a dynamo. Anna Gustafson has started the Firecracker Comedy Department. So she's the head of that, and that's going to be a place for jokes, a place where we'll do some projects, some little festivals, some nights. We just had an amazing night at the Society for Beer Drinking Ladies, which was just so fun. Anna curated this group of stand-ups that are also producers. So stay tuned, because we actually recorded that, so we'll have a little bit of that coming up later. So there's a comedy department. Joanne Boland, who is an amazing actress, has started a thing called Firecracker Red Point Department. And that is a place where we can celebrate aging in the industry, because it's not being done really. We gotta celebrate these things, because guess what? It's gonna happen. I hope it's gonna happen. So Red Point Department is sort of recognizing also the women who have come before us and have paved the way, and celebrating those folks. There's a lot of celebrating going on in the Firecracker Department, I'll tell you that. What else do we have? We have Monica Marion, who I've known for a bunch of years, and she's just a very funny lady, and now a writer and producer. We reconnected over at the Women on Screen event, which is another podcast that's coming up when we recorded that. And she stepped in and said, I want to be part of this group. And I was like, well, great. What do you want to do? And she was like, well, I can edit. And I was like, amazing. So she edits our episodes now. So if there's glitchless, that's a word, glitchless podcasts, it's because of her. Who else? We've got Rachel Wilson, who's just this beautiful actress, and she's taking over the Firecracker A Sound Mind department, which is a place to discuss mental health and mental health awareness and how to support each other through mental health tricky times, which I love and I think is so imperative. Laura Lee Del Macchio. Now, I don't know where she came from. She's just a dynamo. She's a writer. She also does some work in crew on Suits. But she's taken over our social media thing with graphic design and social media output. And, oh man, she's kick-assing. I'm inventing words. Kick-assables. She's kick-assing. So she's fantastic. Who else do we have? We have Jen Pogue. Oh my God, Jen Pogue. Gosh, everybody knows Jen Pogue, and if you know her, you love her. She's just one of those gals who can do everything. She's a beautiful, sensitive, gentle actress. If you ever see anything that she does, she just does it beautifully. But then also, I design flower arrangements beautifully. I also support women on screen, and now she's doing Firecracker Department Ignite. So Ignite Department is a place where we can go and share like books that we love or movies that we love, podcasts that we love, and sort of share different things that inspire us and ignite us. We also have, oh my God, Ingrid Hamilton. I can't say enough great things about Ingrid Hamilton. She runs GAT PR, and she has come on board and is just a dynamo. She helps us with all our PR stuff and also social media stuff, but also like she's kind of like this, I don't know, sage. She just has words of wisdom constantly of how to focus our brand, and she just has suggestions of getting into like festivals, and we're very, very lucky to have her. She's fantastic. We also have Jessie Gabe. Jessie Gabe I know from Being Erica. I worked with her on Being Erica. She's a writer. Then I worked with her on Mr. D. She became the head writer on Mr. D, and she's just a true buddy of mine. I love her. She's doing the Firecracker 5. So every month we are recognizing a firecracker in the industry. She's going to do a cool photo of them and then ask them 5 questions. So that's also coming up. There's just like kick-ass ladies all about. Christina Nichols helped us launch the newsletter. Now here's the thing with the newsletter. Christina set it up and you gotta get in on it, because the newsletter is the place to get all your information about Firecracker Department. There's all the department information, but then there's also like job postings and Firecracker Adventures, which are something new that we're developing. Firecracker Adventures are some place where people can, let's say you're going to go to an event or you're going to go see a movie. Post on Twitter what you're doing, #Firecracker Adventure, and maybe there's somebody in your community that's like, I want to go to that, but I didn't want to go alone. Guess what? Now you're not going to go alone. We've got pins and swag, so you can wear one of the Firecracker swag, and then when you get to the event, you can be like, hey, you're a firecracker, and now you're not alone. Presto! Okay, going back to this kick-ass team that we have. Veronica Martin. Veronica Martin, I didn't know before this. She just reached out and said, I wanted to be part of the Firecracker Department, and I was like, yeah, let's bring you in. She's super funny and delightful to have around. She's also one of those people that, I don't know, just has pearls of wisdom and guidance and support just when you need it. One of those people. She's the head of HR at this engineering firm, and she's also a baker, so I think she's going to be in charge of like a foodie department. Not sure yet. We're gonna research that, but that's coming up. And maybe an Etsy page. Anyway, she's definitely a kick-ass firecracker, and we're lucky to have her. Then we've got Deanna Moffat. Deanna Moffat is a friend of mine from Los Angeles, because here's the thing. We have a chapter in Toronto. We also have a chapter in Los Angeles. Who knows where the next chapter is going to pop up? But Deanna is a life coach here, and she joins me the last Sunday of every month, where we talk about the Firecracker Spark question. And we just have these great discussions on the live Instagram, and it's becoming like one of my favorite things to do. So she's just fantastic. She's also one of those people that if you ever when your brain feels like it's tied up in knots, you call Deanna. Not only are you going to have a good laugh, you're going to get some insight that's going to help you untie those knots. So I adore her, Deanna Moffat. She's one of my favorite people. And then we've got Mandy May Cheatham. Mandy I've known forever. You'll know her from her series called Muffa. And she's like this kick-ass lady. So she came on board and said, well, maybe I'll just help out with like being an advisor, because she's so knowledgeable in so many different capacities. But she's going to become so much more, because she's one of the folks that are in Los Angeles. So she's a key element in our Los Angeles chapter. So yeah, she's just a dynamo. We're lucky to have her too. I mean, we're lucky to have all of them. I'm in love, obviously, you can tell. And we've got Isabella Condrat, who's just a dynamo. I've met her through the George Brown Mentorship Program, and she's one of those folks just helping out in every little capacity, but in the best way possible. Like, oh no, we don't have that thing to do the thing. Oh, Isabella's there to help us out. So she's fantastic. So that's our new team, and I'm so excited to share these folks with you. Go to our website, firecrackerdepartment.com, subscribe to our newsletter, because that's key. You're going to want to like get in on all that action and get to be part of this community. Because, I mean, Firecracker Department started 2 years ago because I wanted to find a platform for women's stories and women's voices, and I wanted to do something with the frustration I had with our climate right now, because I was getting angry. I don't like being angry. I don't like being full of grumpiness. I don't like myself like that. So in the vein of Carrie Fisher, I wanted to turn my broken heart into art. And I thought, I'm just going to put it all into Firecracker Department. So my goal is to make Firecracker Department so big and bold and beautiful, and just it'll outshine all the crap that's going on. So people will just be focused on this stuff and being creative and being supportive of each other, that they won't have time for that other nonsense. I'd love it if you listening right now would go and join us in some capacity, whether it's on Twitter, and give us a shout out, connect with us, whether it's in Instagram, same thing. Maybe subscribe to the newsletter, maybe subscribe to iTunes and write a review. That would be so helpful, because all the numbers help us gain our community, which gives us further reach out. And then we're going to start chapters all over the place. Hey, where do you live? Want to start a Firecracker Department chapter there? Maybe that can happen. Let's talk about it. But let's just connect. I love this community so much, and I'm just enamored with how it's growing and supporting each other. One of the things we have coming up are going to be webinars. So the more I'm connecting with my community, the more I realize one of the things they want is outreach. They want workshops. So I've started connecting with other folks who can do online webinars. We're going to offer that coming up. So it's just going to be a world of fun, and you should join us for it. Okay, so now to my guest. Oh my gosh, Kat Barrell, who you will know her from Winona Earp, from Workin' Moms, from Private Eyes, from Star Trek Discovery, from being a cool lady everywhere she goes, and funny and talented. So she and I sat down at Second City. So if you hear a little bit of noise in this podcast, it's because Second City is a bustling building of comedy people, and you can't help it. So we found a little studio and we had this discussion, and she's just a dynamo. I love her so much. I know her a little bit from being married to my friend Ray, first of all, but then also just because I've gotten to know her through hanging out in Los Angeles, and she's just an amazing person. The thing I like about Kat, and the thing that I recognize, is she has been doing this since she was like a child. She was like directing things in like high school, if not before high school. And it made me sort of reflect on, like, what are the things that we used to do? Like, I used to produce shows. I used to produce shows in my little cul-de-sac. I used to get tickets and then perforate them with a pin so that you could rip them. And then I'd give away tickets to the puppet show that I would do. Like, I would produce shows just like I'm doing now. It's kind of crazy. So I'm wondering, what are things that you used to do that you're still doing like that? And Kat's one of those people. I just want to share this with you because I just loved talking to her. And this is the thing about these podcasts. She's so authentic. She's so like truthful about her journey. And I know it. I know there are people that are going to listen to this and go, oh my gosh, thanks for saying that, because I too had that experience, or I too struggle with this. And she's just, she's a dynamo. Okay, so here she is, Kat Barrell. I guess, like, I feel like you're such a quiet powerhouse. Like, really? You have this, like, other life. Like, everybody sees that what you do on Winona and Workin' Moms and things like that. But then your passions also run into, like, directing and producing, and I know a little bit, and I've watched all the shorts that you've done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're online.
Nice.
You can see
them.
them.
Some of them, yeah. There's, shoot, I should have sent you more. But
but it was great. And like, and then I was reading that you directed like in high school. Did you direct
I directed The
Wizard of Oz?
And I wrote my own play and put it on in high school with my best friend. I totally pulled her into it, but we wrote this like basically a sitcom. We wanted to write a sitcom about, and it was so funny because we were like, I don't know, 14 probably when we started it, and we wanted to write a sitcom, but we didn't know anything about subletting an apartment. So our plot was, it was all these friends who had subletted this great apartment in Toronto. Yeah. Neither of us had ever left like our little hometown in Burlington.
Love it.
But we were like, 5 friends. They live in this great apartment in Toronto, and their landlord, I forget what it was, but they had to. The landlord wanted to raise their rent and get them to leave. Okay. But they all wanted to secretly keep it, so they were all plotting behind each other's backs of how to keep the apartment. But I remember like her dad having to sit us down and explaining what a sublease was. Like, we had no idea.
But you just had like that 14-year-old like gumption, like this is what we need to do.
You know what it was? What was so funny about it? I remember thinking in high school that I wanted to go to Etobicoke School of the Arts.
Right.
But
where did that come from? Like, where did you get even... Like, I didn't even know Etobicoke School of the Arts existed.
Yeah. I think I had a friend whose sister had gone there for opera, singing, something like that.
And was it, like, fame to you? Like, the theater school?
The theater school. I don't know. It was kind of like I had this image of, like, oh, it's going to be like in that movie Fame. Yeah. But I think it was just I knew I really liked doing it. I knew by grade 10 that was for sure what I wanted to do. I mean, when I was in elementary school, I really wanted to be a director.
I know, but that fascinates me because, you know, like all of us actors always wanted to be an actor. You never, like...
I know, I kind of did it in reverse.
Yeah, like it's so interesting because even like the things that you've directed, you're not always in.
No, and I really like that. I really like, there's something really magical about being behind the camera. Mm-hmm. Like some of the things were vehicles for me as an actor, but I don't want to be in it if I'm directing it. Because I also just think, and I've worked with amazing people who are in things and they direct them, but I do think there is such thing as wearing too many hats because you lose your objectivity.
I mean, I think it's hard. It is hard, but I get also why you want to do it all. Like,
totally.
Yeah.
It's fun,
it's the balance.
But I love crafting a performance with an actor because I feel like I get it. Yeah. And I understand and I love faces. I love looking at people. Like the more obscure and interesting, the better. I'm not as much a fan of beautiful faces as I am of interesting faces. Right. I love the teamwork aspect of it. I come from a really small family, so I think like being on set, there's this element of like...
small, are you an only child?
I'm an only child. Yeah, I am.
And like how small is small?
How small is small?
Yes,
yeah, small. I'm an only child, but I always dreamed when I was growing up of being in like a really big family with like 6 siblings, and I think that's what kind of being on set does for me. Yes. Because it's this traveling circus. You're kind of with these people in really extreme conditions, and I love the aspect of... I mean, when it's running well, it's such a finely oiled machine, but every like little job matters. And if one thing doesn't come through, the whole thing kind of falls apart. Yeah, it's such a domino effect, and I like love that about it. Yeah. That team aspect. And I don't know, it's so funny. I was in Los Angeles last week, and I had a meeting with a casting director. And we sat down, and she said, you know, I love to talk about your acting, but she's like, I'm really interested. I see that you direct. And it was like I lit up. We had this whole conversation about just directing, all the things I want to do and my goals and like all these little things that I have, like micro brewing. And I walked out of that meeting, and I thought, gosh, it's really like... It's really pulling at me. It's really tickling. Yeah, but I love acting, so it's so hard. Yeah. Because I still love acting. I love acting, and I want to keep doing it as long as I can. But I do also think there's such opportunity for women directors right now.
I know. I mean, you can do it all.
I think
like you're not always doing Winona. You're not always doing Working Moms. You have gaps.
You have gaps. You can do it.
It's just a matter of having the energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then there's burnout, right?
I'm burnt out.
Are you?
No, I have been burnt out in the past couple of years. But
how do you know that you're burnt out?
I mean, aside from the exhaustion, I think a lack of inspiration. Yeah. And just like the fact that I think short films take a lot out of you. I think it's now been 8 short films that I've been involved with, either as a producer or director or both. Yeah. And I do find that at the end of those, I was just kind of like, I can't. It's so much energy to put together anything, but even a short film, you still need to hire everyone. You still need to get all your permits. You still need to do all the contracts. I mean, whether they're coming on for
it's
a
not
day,
short effort.
No, it's not short effort. But even if it's a day or if it's 20 days, you still have to do a lot of the same amount of work. So I think I got disenfranchised with the whole thing. I just got really tired.
Yeah.
And I lost my spark, which is why I knew I needed to step away. And so many of these other amazing things were happening. I mean, you can do it all, but maybe not all at once.
I mean, that's what they
say. Waiting for the muse, too. I so badly want to do a feature, but I'm still really struggling with finding, like, the right script. And
yeah, because that's something that's going to live with you. It's not like 100%. You can quickly shoot that off in a couple of days.
And your first feature as a director, I think, is, like... everyone tells me, they're like, don't screw that up.
I know, but then I've also heard just do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about making mistakes. True. Just do it and stop. Because I think there's something about, like, I don't want to make a mistake, or I don't want to make this not as important as it feels to me in my heart.
Yeah.
And then you don't do it because it won't ever do that.
Ever.
So.
Yeah. It's never going to be perfect, but I do think I'm still waiting for the script. I've read, several books, and I have a comic that I'm reading right now, and like just fishing it all over the place to try and find the right thing to make that step. But I'm so conscious of like what you put into the universe comes back to you. I don't want to confuse the universe. I really love
the universe is like, what do you want? Jesus.
What do you want? You ask for everything.
That's right.
But I really do love being an actor, and I'm just trying to enjoy what's in front of me right now while still pushing forward. But I also think like I
feel like you're writing the universe an email right now and just be like, dear universe, just to clarify my intent, I'm really enjoying my career, really please don't stop.
Yes, exactly because there is this thing of like, I'm so fucking lucky.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, I mean, right, a lot of it is it's when, what do they say, like when your preparation meets your opportunity.
Magic? I don't know.
Yeah, magic. I mean, right place, right time, but also I never want to say, some people say acting is so much luck. Yeah, it is. But you also can't not put in the work.
No, but I think it's luck, but you have to have, you have to be ready for the luck to
That's
hit.
What I mean, yes. You got to be in that place with your craft or whatever that when the opportunity comes, you can meet it with your skill set.
Yeah, did you feel like you were, like, poised when Winona Earp came along? Because that feels like a tipping point.
That was a tipping point for me. 100% it was.
Like, I kind of look at your other stuff and I'm like, yeah, you were like bubbling and just enjoying your work, but then Winona...
It really clicked it. Mm-hmm. I think, I was. I mean, that had been like 5 years out of school for me.
Yeah.
So that was like enough time to... That's when they always say that it's either the 5-year mark... Who knows if this is true? People often say that 5-year mark is when like the first round of people start to drop out.
Oh yeah.
You know, I always heard
when
that.
they realize it's like the business side of acting
and how much of a slog it can be.
Yeah.
And I think, but man, oh man, I never thought I was going to get that part.
Why? Like, didn't you have an instinct? Did you have a gut that was like, no, wait a second, this one's mine?
No, I didn't on that one. And sometimes I do, and sometimes that's right. But
I sometimes have that, and then I go, don't
have
do it,
because
you'll just get so disappointed. But like sometimes in my heart of hearts, I'm like, this one's mine.
No,
and then when it's not, I go, well, I don't know anything then. Like, what's real?
What's real?
What about Santa Claus? Does that not exist either? Like, what else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with Winona Earp, you didn't...
Well, here's why. I didn't think I was tough enough to play cop.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't think I had enough of... Because when I think of cops, I think of these really strong, grounded... powerful people,
right.
And I didn't see myself as that. I'm starting to now.
Interesting.
More so.
Yeah.
But 3 years ago, I still thought I was an ingenue. I still, I thought all these things that my theater school so beautifully told me that, like, here's your box. You will play in this forever. Yeah. Which was like, you will play in this for 5 years until you get too old for these parts, and then you will play nowhere.
Thank goodness, though.
You know what
I
mean?
Well, you don't want to be a 50-year-old ingenue.
No.
That's Baby Jane business.
No, that's... Yeah, and that doesn't... I mean, are we writing that anymore? Sometimes.
Like ingenue parts, you mean?
For women that age, though.
I don't know. I think everything's changed.
I think the whole game is changed. Which I would love to talk to you about, because it's so exciting.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I know. You're like, that is what Firecracker Podcast is about.
But it's true. Like, I'm excited because I don't think that there are any rules for anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that makes exciting and also scary, like in the world of like diversity and labels and everything like that, because I think people are so like, well, who do we do that if I can't tell you that you're going to play the wife? Yeah. Because maybe you're transgender, so you're not going to play the wife. Yeah. You're going to play the partner, right? Yeah. And then you're like, everything's new. Everything. New. Yeah.
What a time to be women in the media, eh?
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Have you seen it shift for yourself? Like, do you feel a shift?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, like, what it used to be, like, time travel me to now. Like, maybe some, like a story that happened to you back then that you would never...
That I would never... Well, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is, like, when I was in grade 8, and I've said this before, but I wrote in my grade 8 yearbook that I wanted to be a film director. So that was what? How old are you in grade 8?
Okay, I want to just take a moment for a second and tell me who gave you the power that that's something you could do.
No one.
So it's just something like
what I'm talking about.
I know, but there's got like I love that you weren't like, I'm gonna be the star in a show. You were like, I want to be a film director. Yeah. So had you seen film directors? I hadn't,
but there's the difference. So me then, and I think that's why I didn't pursue it at the time. Because acting, ironically enough, seemed like the clearer pathway.
Yeah.
And
because women talk about that all the time, or like people of minorities, they'll go, well, I didn't see anybody like me doing what I want to do, so I thought, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
And now I see everybody doing everything.
Exactly. So. And I think too, I mean, I think I had always, I look back and I you know, I think there's things that you're naturally adept to do, and there's things that you're good at, and then there's things that you're kind of called to. There's different levels of doing something. And I think I just, from when I was really little, I never wanted to just be, you know, everyone does skits in their basement. I'm sure you did a million of them, right?
My basement was usually flooded, so
no. Yeah.
Although we did a lot of like Noah's Ark skits.
Oh.
Yeah,
no, sorry. Yeah. But I remember when I was with my friends and we used to like, but I wanted to like organize the thing, or I wanted to lead the team, or I wanted to have the overarching vision.
I was like that.
Were you?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And it's like just a little thing in you. I don't know what it is. I think it's a natural thing if you're kind of drawn to a leadership role, or if you have a good sense of like juggling multiple balls at the same time, this multitasking aspect, or I mean with directing specifically or producing, you're having to have all these conversations with very different types of people all the time to get something off the ground. So there's this sense of like you really have to have a certain level of empathy, or being able to kind of chameleon yourself to who you're working with at the time.
So when you were 12 or whatever, when you were directing, you were like, I'm going to be... And that was like a tipping point for you. Like in your yearbook, you wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from. My dad's an accountant. My mom's a nurse. I think the only place I would have seen it, my best friend her family was in the arts. So her aunt was an actress, and no, she doesn't act anymore, but her uncle is still an actor. Her mom was a costumer for Mirvish, so she would bring me backstage on like The Lion King and Cats, and I think that's when I first saw the reality of family, somebody working in the arts, because I had never seen that before. Yeah.
That it was possible.
But it was possible. And I was never super into pop culture, which I'm still not to this day. I go to Comic-Con and they're like, who's your favorite Avenger? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get these like really lightning round questions about pop culture. I've never, and I'm still not, and that's actually one of my fears as a director, is that I don't have enough of a film nerd brain, or I'm not what's that, I'm not like a film encyclopedia. I don't have that brain, and not even that. I think you do what you want to do, and you never say never, because you don't know where you might fit in. But I just didn't. I lost the passion for it really quickly, and it's so funny because now retrospectively I'm like, oh, musicals kind of irritate me. Yeah. Sometimes I'm going to see Hamilton next weekend though, which I'm very excited. I have not
seen that yet, but I'm really excited. I'm scared to see it now with all the hype around it.
I know, my expectations are super high. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe I should.
Where are you going?
In New York.
New York?
Okay, yeah.
Like, where are you going to?
Where are you going to be? Yeah.
Okay, so then when you went to theater school, you were like, okay, no, I need to be an actor.
And I had a teacher who pulled me aside. Yeah. And was like, get out.
Who was that?
His name is Mark, and he just pulled me aside and he said, I just don't think you're going to rise to your potential here. I think you should go to, he was like, go to Juilliard. I was like, I'll never get into Juilliard, but thank you for the vote of confidence. But I ended up going, and I studied classical theater at George Brown. Yeah. And had a really interesting experience there.
So, but I think theater school ends up being very interesting because you are so... exploratory, and there's such diversity in what you're discovering. What did you find? How was your class? Because I think that also makes...
My class was great. My class was good. I want to be honest. It's been enough time that I just don't care anymore.
But it's also the reality is it's a challenging time. Yeah,
right? I was really bullied in theater school for the first time in my life. And I had a former classmate of mine who actually came from Sheridan with me, who was very determined to remake his image at George Brown.
Right.
From being kind of a very... I don't know what was going on with him, and I don't want to speculate, but from being like very flamboyant, openly gay man to going to this theater school, and I think feeling like he had to fit into this classical theater leading man kind of persona, and I was the only leftover from his old life, and he made very sure that I was very excluded from everything. When you're in a theater school of 25 people dwindling every year, makes things kind of shitty. And I also had a teacher that has finally been fired after 15 years of people complaining to the school. He was finally fired. But he made my life a living hell, and hated that I was pretty, hated that I was happy, told me I would never be an actor because I hadn't suffered enough to deserve it. He had this lovely ritual of putting us all up in front of the class and picking us apart, just physically, emotionally, what he thought our background was, just everything. And the biggest lesson and irony I took retrospectively getting out of theater school is the people who were literally the bottom, and just because they would cut every they probably did that at Ryerson.
We graduated with 9.
Oh my god. Oh, that's horrible. How many did you start with?
30.
Oh god. I think we were 36 to 15. So not as bad as you.
It's rough.
It's horrible though, and it creates this sense of I understand the thought process of why they think they should do it, but it also creates this environment of you're so scared to take a risk, and they all are acting is taking risks. Then you're in this environment where you're so scared, you're only acting to please the people that are going to keep you in the school.
I know.
You're never taking risks. You're never doing anything that you want to do creatively. You are so consumed with just trying to survive that it creates this horrible kind of environment. And this teacher finally, but there was people I had it bad, but not bad to the point. I mean, there were people who wrote that school letters about emotional damage and the things that he had said or done to them, and it's disgusting how long it took them. And it was only a couple years ago when all this Me Too stuff started hitting the news, and I finally saw it in the newspaper about this teacher, and I was like, Jesus, that took way too long.
And so, if that ever happened to you, the bullying that you're talking about
now? Forget it. Yeah.
So can you see anything? I mean,
silver lining, of course.
I'm a bit half full kind of gal.
Course,
but when I look back at the bullying that I got from teachers, because I feel like that's consistent. Maybe not just in acting, but there's always the teacher that you're like, why don't you just be nice to me? I'm not doing anything. Why do you
why do you have to rip me apart?
Yeah,
it was this build you down to
break you down to build you up. But it was just
bullshit.
I remember having that and just being very confusing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, that built my strength up.
It definitely built my strength up.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think now it's really good. It's really good to think of that as a half full. Absolutely, you have to think that way. And I think just gave me so much fire once I got out of there. To be I will show you. I will prove you wrong, and all these things. And I think that's good. I think I did need it to a certain extent.
Oh yeah.
Because I was a really good student growing up. I never struggled academically. I always kind of did well at what I tried. It was the first time in my life where I had to really, really, really push, because I always was bored in school. I found school too easy. I was so ready to leave high school way before I could. I just was just bored. But I think that was great, because what it did is going back to the Etobicoke School of the Arts thing, I decided not to go. And I'm so glad I didn't, because our school had zero arts program, like nothing.
Right.
I think our gym teacher, bless her, was teaching drama and like was like, I have no clue. She was so open about like, I have no clue. I'm just reading.
We're gonna do the Odd Couple again.
We're gonna we're gonna She, we didn't do plays. You kidding? We didn't even get there.
Right.
We were like, I mean, it was sad, but what that afforded me is that I was like, I want to do a play, so I'm just going to make a play.
Right.
And I'm going to direct The Wizard of Oz. What kid gets to direct their high school musical? No one.
I love that.
Because they were like, shit, this girl, like, really let her do it. Yeah. I guess they were literally storing football equipment. I had to, before we rehearsed for our play, there was football equipment stored on our stage, and I would have to move this like stinky football equipment. I remember getting really mad and probably very out of place with the teacher of the coach of the football team. So I was like, this is not a locker room, and I had this huge broom, this janitor broom, and I would go back and forth. I would sweep the dirt from all the cleats off of the stage, and it would reek of like 14-year-old boy, and it was gross, but
I know. I mean, I think I did that a couple of weeks ago for a show that we did, so it's not,
it's never
too far away. So then, do you have spidey instincts when you think you're getting treated the way you used to be treated?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with stuff like that now? Like, I know you don't put up with it, because that's...
I don't put up with it anymore, but I think for better in some situations and worse in some situations, I had to put up a barrier, especially with male figures, as a young, beautiful woman, because I was so determined to never like take a handout in return of flirting with me or like thinking that it was getting somewhere with me. I was so determined that wasn't going to happen to me and I wasn't going to be taken advantage of again, that I think that also is what pushed me to do my own work, because I never wanted... I remember the first thing I ever said no to auditioning for, when I was like barely getting any auditions for, was for this horrible like whore prostitute role, and I was just like, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do this kind of stuff.
Did you have like a mentor that you were sort of in connection with? Like, did your folks, like, who did you check in with stuff like this? Who was your confidant?
I didn't have a confidant, really. I had some really great friends, but they were all kind of peers on the same level as me. But I had a really amazing teacher. Her name's Dixie Seidel. Do you know Dixie Seidel?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Dixie was like a huge inspiration for me, and she coached me a couple times too. But I just thought she was so powerful. I remember, like, she has this amazing, like, strong voice, and she's really tall, and I'm really tall, and she just was like so talented and so grounded. And I never talked to her. I would love to go back, because I haven't seen her in like 5 years. I would love to go back and have a coffee with her or something, because I don't think she ever knew, and I don't think I even knew at the time to be able to tell her how much she meant to me. But I just admired her, and I knew I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be strong, and I wanted to be confident, and I wanted to like command and hold my power and hold my space, and that's what I so got from her. So I think without having a mentor, I was just really inspired by her.
Yeah, I think that's the same sort of thing. I think I pick up like mentor qualities along the way. I don't think I have like one person, but that same person where you're like, oh my god, I just so admire. It's usually in admiration of their power. Yeah, that I'm like, I want a piece of that.
Yeah,
Totally. And so in your career, was there a point that you kind of made a choice to not have power? Does that make sense? Like you're, cause as a director, from when you were a child, like
a child, not really, but like maybe
the
seed,
like that's young as far as choosing a directing path. So you're always going to be in a place of leadership in your mind. Yeah. So was there a point that you went, oh no, I'm not going to let anybody push me around anymore? Yeah, I mean, right away, I think I was 21 when I started my production company with my buddy Kent Nolan. Yeah. And we decided to apply for Bravo Fact, which we got, which was amazing. This is Kit? And this was Insomniac Productions. Oh, okay. This was way back. This was the first one. And we did this thing called Issues. And it was a Bravo Fact. And it was Kent and I. And it was out of I was so sick of waiting for the phone to ring. And I felt so... For the first time in my life, I felt like I had no control over my destiny. Because growing up, I always had this thing of if you want something, it's not there, make it. And then for the first time in my life, I found myself in a situation where I was really beholden to my agent and really felt powerless. And
that was my determination to go, I will make my art and do my thing that makes me happy regardless of if anyone likes me or not.
Right.
So it was there from, that was probably it.
And what about, so from issues, what was the biggest teaching point?
The biggest teaching point was when I was busy with doing issues, all the other stuff started to happen.
Yeah.
Because I was happy and I was in my flow.
Yeah.
It was the first
That's what we were talking about before, like being ready for the opportunity.
Being ready for it. And for the first time in my life, I started to understand the concept of being in the flow. And it is something that I felt like for the first time I felt this sense of, oh, I feel really good. And I'm really loving what I'm doing. And then like I could see the good things starting to be drawn to that energy. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time where I went, I think there's something to this. Mm-hmm. So I think if I just continue to focus on making my own opportunities and chasing what makes me happy, the stuff, it was my first time where I was like, I can surrender a little bit to the universe. Mm-hmm. I don't like to surrender completely.
I know, I'm with you.
Yeah. But I do think there is an aspect of, and now more than ever, especially with Winona, I have this feeling of like I want the universe to use me for whatever good, whatever people need from this show, from this character. I want to be because I feel like this is really getting hokey, but it'll come around. I trust. Yeah, you trust. I feel like Winona, there's a reason that I was attached to Winona and all the people involved with Winona, because it's such a show that has changed, I think, like so many lives, especially with the queer representation, mm-hmm. especially seeing powerful women on screen, especially seeing a pregnant superhero, like all these amazing things. And I just feel like the group of people that was brought together for Winona is Kim's it in some way. There is a reason that there's certain people on this show, because there's a synergy on the show, and I think the fans picked up on it, and we felt it. That there was just like a very special, specific group of people that came around at the right time to change some stuff. Yeah. Maybe that's me being, I don't know. I like to think that there's something to that it has to be the right mix of people, because I really do feel like I witnessed something very special being part of Winona.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it's successful. You know, like if this wasn't a voice that needed to be heard, it wouldn't be in its fourth season, and you wouldn't have the fan base that you have. 100%. But like, it's obviously hitting its stride and hitting like people in their hearts, because it's important.
100%.
It's an important voice. Do you feel like your trajectory of your acting career is like going along, and you're like, wait a second, I want to be a director too, and they have to pull that along, and then directing's going, and you're like, wait a second, what about my acting?
Yeah, always. But I think that's good. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to do everything 100% at once. It's impossible. But I do think this is the thing. This is the great thing about having something else that you're working on, whether it be a podcast or you write and you direct and all these things. Like, the beautiful thing about those things is you can kind of like let them simmer while this thing boils, and then you bring that up and that thing goes down.
Are you good at letting things simmer?
I'm a very typical kind of like scatterbrained Aquarian, mm-hmm. and I love ideas, and I love passion, and I love getting inspired by stuff, but sometimes I can be like talking about this, oh, look, a butterfly, like mm-hmm. that's kind of mm-hmm. like my mind goes, mm-hmm. so I have to work really hard at staying focused and seeing things through, because I'm easily inspired.
That so surprises me.
I know,
because you have so many projects that you're like tick, tick, tick.
I don't know about tick, 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 but it's maybe because there's so many things that happen in the background that don't get ticked, right? That nobody knows about, right? All these TV shows I've developed, and there's things that I've been pitching for years, and they don't go anywhere, and they just die a slow, lonely death.
I know we don't talk about the things that we don't accomplish, do we?
Because
there should be like a whole blog of like, just so you know, these are also
the things that never came to be, or you know. But I don't know. I think for my sanity, I just have that mind, and it has to be occupied, mm-hmm. and I've never wanted to be able to do the same thing all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm so grateful for that, because I will one day be a much better director because I was an actor, and I am a much better actor because I've done a bit of directing. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Are you able, like when you're doing Winona, are you able just to focus on that? Like, does it demand that you do?
It depends on what we're shooting, but I would be lying if I said there aren't times where I sit back and go, if I was directing this scene, what would I do?
Right.
But I do that as a nice exercise. Like, sometimes if I don't have a heavy day the next day, I'll, like, break down the scene just for fun for myself.
Yeah.
Like, how would I approach this?
Yeah.
And then see what the director actually does, because it's a huge learning curve for me, you know? So I just do that sometimes for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, in your hotel or your wherever you are, your condo stay, are you like, all right, well, my lines are memorized, I'm going to work on this now? Or are you only in Winona or Boiled?
I try to stay in Winona because I have to, like, I want to do the absolute best that I can. Mm-hmm. But I like to have, you also need, for me anyways, I need a little something else to give me a break.
Yeah.
To step away. Because the thing is, especially for Winona, it's different working on, like, Working Moms, where I go home at night and I go see my friends. But when in Calgary, you're kind of like, that's it. You're living and breathing that show. Your friends are literally your colleagues on the show. You can't spend every waking minute together. And we travel a lot in the off season together.
Yeah.
We get along really great. But there is a point where you're like, everyone needs their space.
Sure.
And so I like to have something else, because otherwise I just get a little too lonely and kind of too bored.
Yeah.
But I think it's good, and it's good to exercise that part of my mind too. Yeah. Because if I'm I've been writing this, like, little show on the side for the last year, and that was kind of like the little side project of Winona when I was shooting season 3. Yeah. We'd have, like, you know, Skype meetings with my writer, and we'd work on stuff, but it was, so I guess I lied to you when I said that.
I was going to say,
I'm like,
I just wanted you to know that you lied.
I lied. I think I lied. But I don't know, but I think it's good. Like, I would never do anything that would jeopardize my work on Winona. No, like, that's your priority, keep that in check. But I do like having something else, because I like to give my brain a bit of a break. So I did lie to you.
Like, somebody actually said that with writer's block. When you have writer's block, just switch. Yeah. Do something else for a while, because the worst thing you can do is like, oh, I'm done with writer's block. Why won't things come to me? Yeah. It's not going to come any faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any desire to be a writer.
Okay.
Like, I have a desire to be a creator.
That's different. I get it.
100%. Yeah. I love working a script. I love developing characters and ideas. But I do not have or do not desire the skill of being able to put that on paper. Yeah. And I'm okay with that, because I'd rather spend my time honing something that I feel like I have a natural aptitude for and a desire to do, than, like, beating a dead horse. Because I do think I'm never going to be a dancer, and that's okay. Right.
You'll be someone who likes to dance.
Not even that.
You don't even like to dance? Did they kick it out of you?
They tapped it out of me.
Oh, you're a tapper.
I was a tap dancer,
were you?
Too. But you're probably really good at it. I can picture you being really good.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. Yeah. And I think I was okay, but then I went into a class like a couple of years ago going, I'm going to break out the tap shoes. And I left in tears. No. Because it's so hard.
It is hard. Tapping is like drumming, though. Yeah. It really is a different... I know, I took tap, ballet, jazz. Lyrical. What was I doing? I was like...
You were exploring your performance.
Sure, yeah, but I remember I did this really horrible... It haunts me to this day. We had to do this, like, exam. Our dance exam was choreograph a 4-minute dance, which was like... Oh, my God. Like, the worst. I mean, first of all, we had to do it with our classmates... We had to be in each other's dances, but make no mistake, no one asked me to be in their dance. I was totally fine with that. But
what was your song?
It's so embarrassing. My song was by a girl who was actually at the school a few years older, and she had released an album. I choreographed this, like, it's so embarrassing. It was like this girl who was being put away, basically, because she was really... it was about mental illness, but I didn't really know that. I was so young. I was like 16 or 17 years old. I was so young, I didn't know how to, like, express my ideas, especially fucking dance. Yeah. Where I was tap. Like, this was like
I just had this
balletic.
Picture it was like a tap dance about mental illness. I kind of fell in love.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Kind of awesome. I mean, now I get to talk about mental illness on so many platforms, and it's amazing. But back then, I was trying to figure out me and all these emotions I was having, and my struggles with anxiety, and, like, I didn't know. Then I was like, I'm going to dance about it. Yeah. It was
okay, but can you see it at all being beneficial? Like, when you say you had, like, anxiety and stuff like that, did that help you?
I mean, did anxiety help me?
No, did the dance?
No,
because it's like a victory that you actually did it.
It was a big. I had to. I think I had no choice. But I mean, I would gladly never have done it. Right. But I was just like a really angsty. I was just like, oh, you're still a teenager.
Yeah.
I was so angsty about it. I was so like, and I just those poor teachers who had to sit there and or like how blessed
what are they
were.
What's in their coffee? You know what I mean? Like
sure,
what are they?
Sure. But that had to sit there and try to be like, what do we say to this girl? This gangly like.
I mean, it's all
like
fodder
Bambi on ice. It was just.
It makes you the comedian that you are.
Yeah.
Like it helps. It's all fodder for the future.
Sure. Yeah. But man, oh man.
And do you still have like when you talk about like angsty and stuff like that? Do you still have that reverberate now, or are you? I hate to say on top of it because I feel like we all deal with it in different with anxiety at different levels. Yeah. But it's manageable and not manageable.
Manageable, not. I mean, I've gone through periods, especially in my 20s, earlier mid 20s, where I was really suffering with like anxiety, depression, like really, and had to have medication and stuff to help me through that time.
Because I know you work with like Girl Talk, right? And you have like the empowering kids.
Those kind of things. I'm just trying to use the platform a little bit to like destigmatize, just help do my part to destigmatize. And I think it's been so great, especially the past couple of years, people talking openly about it, how so many of us struggle with that. And then so many people who are like, I've met people who are like, I don't really know what anxiety is. I don't think I've ever experienced it. And I'm like, that's amazing. I'm happy for you. But also, they're like, I'm really glad there are people talking about it because I had no way to help my friend or understand what they were going through or whatever.
Or actually, you have gone through anxiety. You just didn't know what it was.
Didn't know what it was, which is something that also. I mean, so there's that out of it. But I think when I think of angsty, I think of like I definitely have a temper and a fire that I think keeps me going. I hate injustice. I hate. I hate like nepotism in this industry drives me absolutely insane. The world is not fair for anyone, no matter where you are in your life or career, but one of the things that really bothers me and gets me fired up is like people who get handed stuff to them but then you could say that about all of us. We were born in this amazing country.
Oh my God, we're so privileged.
We're so privileged. So how can where's the line, right? You can't make a generalization like that, but there are definitely things that like still fire me up, and my husband will joke with me and say, you have such a temper, but I just am really passionate about, I mean, sure, temper, but I think it's really tamed as I get older and as I'm learning to take a step away, and I just hate injustice, like gets me super fired up.
How do you deal with that? How do you like where do you put that so that you can live as a healthy human being?
I mean, I think that the taking a step back or doing a bit more mindfulness work or a little bit of meditation, I've just learned not to react, but like to sleep on it. Literally, I'll sleep. Anything that's upsetting me, I'll sleep on it one night, and what a difference a night makes rather than... But I do tend to catastrophize still. Like, I will jump from 0 to 1,000. It's like, I've done one thing wrong and all of a sudden I'm being fired within like milliseconds inside my head, and it just is not healthy and something I'm really trying to work with.
Yeah, I don't know how to... I get it too, because we have great imaginations. So you're like, oh my God, that like when that person wrote me that email... that friendship is over. Or like that person didn't return my email, they hate me. Like we're all able to do it. It's just exhausting.
It is exhausting, and I don't want to live like that all the time. There's a place for it, but it's so funny now that I think therapy is so great, and I think if everyone has a chance to do it, they should do it once in their life, just for a little like self-reflection.
Well, like a good therapist.
I
had a therapist once that told me to get a plant as my answer, and I mean, in retrospect, maybe that was a good idea because it would give me something to look after, but it felt so nonchalant.
A plant?
Yeah. Like I was definitely in a depression of sorts, and I remember like going to him and crying. He was like, well, have you thought about maybe getting a plant? I'm like, okay. What? And I remember walking out going, no. So a good therapist. You need to make sure that like, you interview people.
For sure. I mean, I remember going to someone when I was in like, super deep, couldn't get out of bed, like physically, like the kind of depression where you feel physical, like pain. And I was, and I remember she was going back into like my childhood, which is a great form of therapy, but not when someone is like literally in crisis mode.
Yeah.
And they're like, but I can't eat, I can't get out of bed, I can't function. So like maybe get me out of emergency zone, and then we can go back and do whatever kind of work you want to do. So things like that.
Okay.
So now that I'm in a place in my life that's different, I'm not in that like kind of emergency place, and I'm in a very great place where I can be a bit more proactive and reflective about my mental health. I been now going back, and it's so funny. My dad, bless him, he's an amazing man who has instilled me with like a very hard work ethic and an incredible value. Like he's the guy who will in a snowstorm plow like his driveway and 8 neighbors. Right. Like he's that guy. Yeah. Which I think I get so many of wonderful qualities from my father. But I was in the car the other day, and I was talking to him about some different work situations and opportunities and scheduling stuff. And I'm just like talking through it with him. And he goes, well, what are you going to do with Bernie? I'm like, Dad, I don't. And my dog.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I don't even
my
have.
Husband.
Yeah. My husband. But I'm like, I don't even have the job yet. I haven't even gone for the interview yet. Like, I can see where that thought pattern at a very young age was put upon me, because I was raised to look at every possible outcome and prepare for all of them. Yeah. And it made me very much like not able to live in the present. So anytime a challenge is presented at me, which is why I'm good at producing, because I literally can go through everything that could possibly go wrong and like put in some sort of emergency plan. But it also made me an anxious person because I was trained from the beginning of my life to like look at everything that could possibly go wrong in a situation, but not the good things, like the bad things, like the stuff. Are you
a pessimist versus?
I think by nature, I'm an optimist, but I was raised with pessimistic values. Oh, okay. So it's hard for me to know. I've done a lot of work to get back to my optimist, and it's only now as an adult when I go back to my home environment that I can see. And we all have different personalities too. Like what works for a parent or a relative that kind of raised you probably may not work for you because you're just fundamentally different people. Yeah. So I would say I am by nature an optimist, but I definitely have a brain that still tends towards let's still protect ourselves for what can go wrong.
And so when you can you see depression coming? And do you have the tools now to
I can. Yeah, I can.
Volley it away?
Volley it away. I like that. I can see it coming.
What are triggers for you that you have to be aware?
I know the feeling, like the physical symptoms of like you have to take a step back and like talk to someone.
Like I know for me that if I'm imbalanced, that's that's a problem. Like if I'm working too hard, it's gonna come back and smack me in the face.
Oh, for sure,
and then I'm gonna go into like the blues. I can get. Sometimes I don't see it coming, and I get blindsided. Like I'll have an altercation with somebody that hurts my heart, and that'll just flatten me.
Really,
flatten me.
Really,
yeah. Because I work so hard to look after people and make people feel included in things, and then for somebody to misinterpret me and think it flattens me.
That would make sense. Yeah. Do you tend more towards a depression than you do an anxiety? See, I move towards more anxiety than I do depression.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know. What happens with you?
For me, it's the anxiety. It's like the spinning thoughts, the kind of like the catastrophizing. I can start to notice myself go from 0 to 100 very quickly. I also can feel physical symptoms, so I get a metallic taste in my mouth, or I get something that kind of feels like heartburn, but it's like a tightening in my chest. Yeah. Where on theater school, I was laying on balls every morning trying to be I have this weird cold muscle situation. I had no idea that it was actually anxiety, and I was having panic attacks. But I didn't know that's what they were. I just thought I had constant heartburn and that I couldn't breathe properly. I thought I had problems with my lungs. Wow. Amazing. But I think so. I do have some a few physical symptoms that show up in my body that just kind of cue me to
That's kind of nice to have that.
Yeah, it is nice.
Before you get too deep,
Before you get too. But I also still check in with a therapist once in a while, and that really helps because it kind of just gives me an impartial sounding board. Yeah. Which is amazing. I do this I want everyone to know about this, so I'm going to mention it. It's an app. It's called BetterHelp. Okay. I'm not promoting the app. Well, I am, but I have no connection with the app. it's like really inexpensive. It's kind of, I think it's like $40 US a month, and you can do 4 one-on-one sessions with this person, which is like incredibly reasonable with how expensive therapy can be. But the great part about it is because I travel so much and I'm like never in the same city for very long, that I can stay with the same person.
That is good.
Because I tried to talk to someone, but I was moving around so much, I could never build a relationship with anybody. Yeah. So,
I think everybody should have like a doctor, dentist, mechanic, therapist. Like the people. You need to connect with.
And the people who have nothing to do with your life.
Yeah.
Too, because you need an impartial, just sometimes somebody to, and also to check your shit.
Yeah.
You know, because oftentimes she'll say to me, like, is this really happening or is this you? And you're like, oh, right, yeah, that is me. But I've become so much more aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I've had someone to point it out. Who's not like a friend who I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm like, it's totally me.
Yeah. You know? The certificate on the figurative wall helps a lot, right?
Helps a lot, yeah. But also just, she doesn't really know. She doesn't know me. She doesn't know who I am, or she knows what I do because I talk about my life, obviously. But like, she's never watched Wynonna Earp.
That you know of.
That I know of. She could be completely lying to me, but I really don't think she is. But she just doesn't, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
That I'm an actor.
Yeah, it's nice to have that impression.
And I think sometimes, do you ever find that when you tell people what you do, that sometimes there's a certain, like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you can't totally be, like, do you ever feel like you have to put up a barrier?
I like with a therapist or with anybody?
No, with like anyone. Do you ever feel like...
I don't often tell people, like if I tell them I'm an actress, I just go, I'm an actress. They're like, oh, what have you been in? I'm like, oh, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
and
I
just leave it.
And then and sometimes I lie.
Yeah, what do you say?
I just say I work in production. I'm like a film PA.
Right.
Yeah.
Just why? Just to save, like...
I just don't want to have it like, oh, what have I seen you in? Right. Are you famous?
Right. Now, do you like that? Do you like your celebrity status?
My celebrity.
It sounds weird, but you've got one. You get recognized. You get like, I don't know, like there's a level of recognition that you get.
Do I like it? Yeah, I have no problem with it. Yeah. I have no, like, it doesn't upset me. It doesn't. I like it, but I could see how what I have is like perfect. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like I am so lucky to get recognized for my work. But it's also something where I can easily function, walk down the street with nobody knowing who the heck I am, and that's great too. Yeah. I think it would be hard to not have that.
What about your balance of life? Like, your husband's in Los Angeles, you're in Calgary, your family isn't here. Where's your dog right now?
He's in Toronto.
Okay, so he came with.
He came with.
Nice.
Yeah, he came with. Balance is challenging right now. I think I definitely have... I mean, who knows? We can do things a lot longer than we think we can do them. But I definitely have a sense of like the traveling and stuff that's coming up. Especially like, I think 2019 our con schedule is like insane. Mm-hmm. I think we're doing like Paris, New Orleans, back to Barcelona, to Portugal. Like we're doing it, Brazil. There's talk of like none of these things are. Some of them are confirmed. Some of them are still in the works. But and then like back to Europe and back to North America, and then it's kind of insane. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could do that like for years and years and years.
Are those taxing? Those cons? Like, do they look after you so you feel like you just have to go?
Oh yeah, they look after you. Like they do have amazing agents, and they like, you know, take care of a lot of the logistical details and everything. But even just the time zone, and getting on a plane and packing. I just have a suitcase that's always packed, like toiletries and stuff. I have doubles of everything, and they just stay packed because, you know, it's easier. Yeah. And then the thing with like getting the clothes for the cons and then trying to like negotiate the outfits, and then you're trying to, you know, bring all that stuff, and I've had things where I've like had clothes shipped to hotels, and I came from 4 months or 4 weeks on the road and had stuff, I didn't have anything with me, and
that stuff stresses me out.
Because I don't have, I mean, I'd love to be able to like hire someone to take me. I can't.
Because people have this perception of like folks like you. They're like, well, just hire a stylist. I'm like, do you know how expensive
that is? I can't afford that. No. So you do a lot on your own, and that can be, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a whole other kind of
it's
job.
Very time consuming.
For sure. And I like love it, and I get so much out of it, and I enjoy it. I'm just trying, I know that nothing lasts forever, so I'm just trying to like live it to the fullest and enjoy it. And I'm sure like if I had children, it would be really much harder. I mean, even with Bernie, the poor thing. Thank God we have an amazing dog caregiver in Toronto, because he lives there for sometimes 3 weeks. He's been there for a month one time.
Right.
And he loves it. He sleeps in their bed. Their dog is sometimes I feel bad taking him back.
Right.
But I mean, when we got Bernie, I had no idea that I mean, had I known that all this traveling was about, literally about to, I didn't know. You can't tell the future, right? So I had no idea. And so I probably would have waited. Had I known, there's no way we would have gotten a dog at that time. So you just do the best you can. But, I just want to live it to the fullest as long as it lasts and enjoy it, and maybe it'll last for who knows. I mean, and
hear that, universe? P.S.
P.S. I mean, it would be great, but there's definitely the balance is something I'm still really trying.
What's missing from your life right now?
I think chill time, time to chill, is a little out of balance. I think doing something other than work. So maybe that's in the same, but I'd love to do a hobby or something.
What would a hobby be for you?
I'd really like to take a furniture making course.
Sometimes I'm overachievers like you, and you're like, what's your hobby? You're like, I'd really like to take a photography. And we're like, no, that's still in film. Your hobbies are still related.
Yeah, still in
but furniture's not.
Furniture's,
so what do you want to make?
I
love that. I think that's such a cool thing.
I used to have a leather working business.
Oh my God, of course you did.
I made leather bags.
What was it called?
It was called the Scarlet Swan.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you make leather bags?
I don't anymore. I still have all my tools, but it was kind of one of those I'm gonna try, you know, whatever. It was to supplement my acting income, which is go be a waitress.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing? We're gonna start my own company and learn a skill. So I apprenticed with a bootmaker and did all this. But I think the furniture making, I love to work with my hands, and so there's something I'm such a tactile learner that there's something about the smell. It was the same thing with leather, the smell, the timeless quality of it, the fact that it's kind of a lost art. I really love that. So I want to make a beautiful rocking chair is what I really want to make, or something just really, I don't know, something for my home, or a beautiful mantle, a fireplace. I don't even have a fireplace, but I'd love to make a mantle. Sure.
Yeah, but I think you're right. That balances things, because then you're not. And it does make you chill, because you're not just focused on career
it's meditative.
Social media and blah, blah, blah.
100%. It's How do you feel about social media?
Well, how do you feel about it?
No, I want to... How do you feel about it?
I mean, probably like everybody, which is a love-hate, right? I really love the connection that I get to have with people on social media. And then there's sometimes where I feel a little bit I'm under their thumb, the social media's thumb of hey, have you tweeted today? Have you done? And I'm oh my God, no.
Oh my God.
So
be funny, quick.
Yeah. But I do like the challenge to be funny.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, if I'm not doing a job, or I'm not on set for whatever days, it's nice to have that challenge.
Yeah.
What about you? Because you have a fan base that's nuts.
I what I've struggled with social media is how much personal versus how much work am I comfortable with? How much, Ray and I have had to have conversations of how much of our personal life do we want on the internet?
Absolutely.
Because it immediately gets screenshotted and shared, and I can't, that's what social media is for. If you're going to put something on social media, you better be prepared for it to go everywhere. We had an incident with our wedding pictures. Our photographer basically put our wedding pictures online to use for his portfolio for an upcoming wedding event, but we hadn't seen them yet. So the first time I saw my own wedding pictures was on a fan site.
Oh wow!
So it was that was
jarring.
It was jarring, and sometimes you get people saying mean things. Very seldom. I'm super lucky for the ratio of how many people I have following me versus the occasional mean thing I get. It's so small. So whatever. It's so funny because when I've been in Los Angeles the past couple months, I've had a lot of meetings with casting people just to get to know people, and I ask them, how important is social media to your decisions? Because you hear all these stories now about it was between this actress and this actress, but she had more followers, so we went with her.
Right.
And I'm oh, that's so disheartening, but I get it. But it's kind of lazy producing. Go promote your own show, market your own show. Don't depend on. But then I understand why they're doing. I get it. I totally get the power of it, and I can respect it. And that's where we're going. But I think that what is happening right now, especially with young fans, is there's a disconnect between what an actor is and what an influencer is.
Oh, okay.
And I think actors are being expected, because there's so many blurred lines. Actors, because an influencer, your kind of career is basically built on you kind of sharing a lot of details about your life. Like breakups, you go on and you make a YouTube video about it, you and your significant other are, you know, making videos together, and then you split up, and then you gotta like talk about that, and then you gotta like, this is me cooking, this is me walking my dog, this is
such a fine line though, right?
It's such a fine line, because I'm extroverted to the point where I like love one-on-one conversations in small groups, but I get very intimidated by large parties. I get very drained by large parties. So like the cons and stuff, I love going to them, I like love the interaction, but I need a day after to like be on my own and chill and decompress. Whereas my husband is the opposite.
Yeah,
you know, right?
That guy.
Super extroverted, will like talk to everyone, and we'll get home at night and he'll be buzzing.
Yeah,
and he'll be like, I want to go and do all, like, he's like filled with energy by it.
Fueled.
He's
I know.
Fueled by people.
I've known Ray forever.
I know you
love
have.
It. I love how long our friendship has been.
How long have you guys been friends?
I mean, since Vancouver. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like 20 years.
At least 20 years.
That's amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
We did like a fringe play together.
Did you do theater together?
Yeah, he was adorable.
Way.
Oh my god!
I keep on telling him, like, why don't you produce more plays?
I know, he's so funny. He's so funny too.
He's so funny.
I don't think he's
so talented.
Like I don't think people get
the
full comedy of Ray.
No,
but I do understand, just social media wise. Like I do understand, like with like Matt and I, Barrell and Sneakus, we have this podcast. So I'm like, okay, how do I want to promote this podcast? Well, I'm gonna have to let you into our life. Right, because it's based on.
I didn't know you had that.
Yeah, so with like, because Barrell and Sneakus is our relationship stuff, and then it's us. Like our brand is Barrell and Sneakus. So how do I do that?
How do you negotiate working? Like, how do you? Here's what we struggle with.
Yeah,
is like we both work in the same industry, so and a lot of our friends like yourself are in the same industry, right? And so a lot of our lives are shop talking. And so what we struggle with is like, when do you turn off the shop talk? Because then you just become like, and the thing with our life is we're either home together constantly or we don't see each other for 4 months. So it's like there's no opportunity for like balance. It's very tricky.
And then what do you do? How do you get that?
It's literally like, stop talking shop.
Yeah. And then what do you talk about?
The dog, right? The psyche of the dog. Bernie's like having all these like anxiety. He's okay, but he's like he's always been a really anxious dog. Yeah. So like traveling with him, when we talked about getting dogs, like, yeah, the dog will come on set, they'll come all over, they'll be great, but we didn't take into account that you might get a dog who's naturally not dispositioned for that.
I know.
And so we really, like, a lot of and then we're like, we're talking about Bernie too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what do you talk about? I don't know. We love going, this is what we do like to do. We love cooking shows, food shows, and going out for like really nice meals and picking apart the flavors. Like, we're those like obnoxious dinner people.
But that takes you away from talking about
passion.
Your work.
That's our shared joy that has nothing to do with work.
Yeah.
We love eating together. We love a good meal. I'm eating like almost no meat anymore, which he's like, oh no. He gets it because I'm like having a bit of a moral crisis with, I've just been thinking a lot about that. And trying to make some changes in my life, but it also comes with like, he's like, "Oh, am I going to eat this?" We can do vegan though. We can do like all these great vegan restaurants.
Right.
But I think it's important. We're still trying to figure out like, what is the balance,
right?
Because
we both forever.
We love what we do.
Yeah.
You know, we love what we do, and what do you mean?
It's going to be that balance. The pursuit of that balance is forever.
It's forever. Yeah. It's constant, right? And it's always changing. But I think like further on in our lives, if we have a family or if we have, then the dynamic shifts. Then you've got like other things to talk about and worry about and stuff. But he likes talking shop much more than I do.
Right.
You know, right?
Yeah.
He loves. I love the business too, but just in a different way.
There's like,
in another life he would be a great agent or manager.
Oh my god, right? Yeah, and he gets a little bit like a twinkle in his eye when he talks about anything.
He loves that.
Yeah, it's almost like it's his his other love other than you.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like
he has the love for it.
Yeah.
Whereas I know for me, and it's not, again, universe, dear universe.
Don't pay attention to this part.
No, but it's not that I do love it, but I love it for different reasons. I love to hide. I love the aspect of disguise. I love the aspect of like living in someone else's shoes, and I love the aspect of getting behind the camera, and I love the transformation of it, that I get to escape from myself for however long. Whereas I think what Ray loves is he loves to make people laugh. He loves to make them happy. He loves to entertain. So it's funny because we have two people who do the same thing, right? But we come at it for different reasons within ourselves. And I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think your future is? Like, what are your hopes and dreams for future stuff?
I just want to keep being creative my whole career. I hope that I have a career that continues to let me jump from passion to passion. I would love to be like Megan Follows, who goes to direct 2 episodes and then she goes to act in a season of something. That's my dream. Yeah. And I think
you're kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Because of your own fruition.
For my own stuff. Yeah. So I'd love to keep doing what I'm doing, but take it to that next level. Like I'd love to create a TV show. I would love to get to, not necessarily a showrunner, but I just love to like birth something of that size. But I really am very happy with the choices that have brought me to here, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to say that. But I think I just want to keep doing it and start getting to that like next level of these things. Yeah.
I have to wrap it up, not because I want to, but because I always talk so long, and then I have to edit, and I want to keep it. Yeah. But we could talk forever.
No, I know.
So tell me, like, something that you're inspired by these days, like whether it's a book or a podcast or a film or a series that you're seeing. What's the latest thing that you're jazzed by?
I mean, this is such a like political thing to say, but I'm really excited by how much diversity and female opportunity there is right now.
Yeah.
I'm really jazzed by like shows like The Handmaid's Tale,
right,
and the fact that we have all these female showrunners and female directors coming up the ranks. I'm just really jazzed that we get to experience this time in history in the media, because I think there's a monumental shift going on right now, and I'm just jazzed by all the things that are popping. I mean, it's all these little things of like my friend's business just won like a Young Entrepreneur Award, or my other friend is creating a show, or just seeing people have been working so hard finally getting the opportunities that they deserve.
Right.
And watching the playing field like level a little bit is getting me pretty jazzed. I'm excited for what's to come. Like I feel very hopeful. Yeah. And that's a nice feeling.
Yeah. What kind of advice would you have given yourself as a kid, if you knew?
As a kid?
Yeah, like before your director debut at Wizard of Oz.
Oh God, Lord. Yeah,
or like your lyrical dance to your friend's song.
I think one of my regrets is I've always tended towards the serious. It's just my nature. But I think growing around adults was a big part of that. I didn't have kids to be silly with, so I didn't develop that side of myself. But I think just to like seek out more opportunities to play. Don't be afraid that you have to be somewhere at a certain age. You don't take that year off between theater school and working to go travel. It's not going to derail your career. These things where at the time I thought, I have to just work. I have to get right into the next thing. Like travel, take some time. I'm so lucky that because of the cons, I feel like I got a second chance at that. And I'm so grateful. But I think, to give yourself permission to be silly. I think that's one of the... Oprah had this great podcast. I'm going to find it. But she was interviewing this woman about the 7 pillars of being complete, being whole. And one of them was to have fun, to be silly. And
such a weird thing to remind people to do, but I agree with you. What does having fun and being silly look like now for you?
Oh, great question. I still probably don't do enough. I mean, even just going out with friends, not being like you have to work, you have to stay in and finish this thing. I think I can get a little bit obsessive with that stuff because I do really like love to work. Yeah. But I think just going out with friends, cultivating friendships or relationships. I was always really intimidated by large groups of people, so going out to partying wasn't really my jam. But I think finding it in other ways, or even going high school to theater school, it was always like a small, contained, created group. Yeah. I didn't have the experience of going to university and kind of meeting hundreds of people. Yeah. I think...
when was the last time you were, like, silly?
Oh, I know what's fun?
Okay.
I went last Tuesday. I went to Ray surprised me and took me to Universal Studios.
Fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
we had such a good time. We did like rides. My friend Sarah, you know Sarah Booth. She's in the Waterworld show.
Oh,
so
fun.
she did a show. We went to see
that
her
Waterworld
perform.
show is killer.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
She's so badass in it. It was really fun. We did that. We did the Harry Potter. Oh yeah, I had so much fun. I was like, I gotta had to have done something fun in the last week.
Yeah,
we went to Universal, and
that's a great way to be silly.
Really fun.
Like do something
really silly.
kid-like.
And I just like giggled and had the best time. And we started the day by like getting bags of candy.
Love it.
Like it was awesome.
Yeah. Did you go on the Mummy ride?
Didn't go on the Mummy ride.
The Mummy ride, I was weeping, laughing.
Really?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I went on it a few years ago, though.
Yeah.
It's the VR one, right?
No.
Oh, wait, no. Maybe
I don't even want to tell you anything about it.
Okay,
next time you go. Yeah.
Next time you go back.
I don't want to give you any preemptive, but the Harry Potter ride was great.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. And the studio tour was really fun,
yeah,
too.
we did that, too.
It was super. I was, like, had low expectations, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was so great. I had a really good... Yeah. We had a blast.
That's good.
Oh, yeah, and then we went out for dinner, and that was fun.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, you married a silly guy, so you're...
I did. I'm laughing...
It's good.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's probably... I think it is one of the things that attracts me to Ray, is that I couldn't be with somebody like me. I have to have somebody who,
no, not like you.
Pulls
but like
me
you're,
out of it.
Yeah, I get it. But
I
I feel like you're... It's funny, you know, your perceptions, because I don't know you very well, but I do feel like you're a vivacious and, like, creative and funny person. Like, I don't think of you as a
serious.
Well,
that's good.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I'm serious. I think I'm just shy.
I don't even give you that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even... like, if you asked me to describe you before we talked today, I wouldn't have given shy.
Really?
No, I would have given, like, outgoing, friendly, and funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't it funny how we, like, see ourselves in these ways? And I think we just attach these labels to ourselves.
But don't... I mean, you're... I don't even think it's worthy of a label. You're just Kat. That's just, like,
That's nice.
You're delightful to speak to. Thank you for taking the time.
I'm glad we made it happen.
Victory! Yes. Thanks, universe.
Both different cities, but we made it happen.
I know! It worked great. I'm so happy.
Amazing.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And that's Kat. Don't you love her? I love her. The problem with these interviews, I can't edit. I can't edit any of the stories because they're so great. So they end up being long. So, I mean, sorry, but also you're welcome, because what great discussions we've had. You can throw them into your ears when you're going for a long walk or a long drive, or listen to it in parts. Or listen to it while you're cleaning your closet, which is where I'm recording this. In, not your closet, mine. All right, go and follow Kat Barrell on Twitter. She's at Kat Barrell, Barrell, and Kat with a K. And then while you're there, follow us, Firecracker DEPT, and tell me what you thought about this interview. I'd love you to be part of this discussion. I'd love to know what you thought, and I'd love to have you part of our community. I'm going to give a little Firecracker shout out, which you're always welcome to do, #Firecracker shout out, to my other podcast that I work on, Barham and Sneakus. This is a podcast I started with my partner / husband, Matt Barham, and we do live shows in Los Angeles and Toronto, and maybe in your city coming up. And we do like discussions with funny people, and we always have just a riot, and they're only 30 minutes long. So go on over to Barham and Sneakus and join in the fun over there. It's sort of, Matt calls it the sister production. We also have this fun new series coming up called Someone Stole Something. And it's a parody on the true crime style. So go on over to Barham and Sneakus and join us for that fun. All right, everybody. That's the Firecracker Department. I'm Naomi Sneakus. I so appreciate you listening to the podcast and being part of our community. And let's keep it going. Who knows what the Firecracker Department's going to come up with next, but you should be part of it. All right, everyone. Go on out there and be bold, be brave, believe, and have a great time doing it. We'll see you next time on the Firecracker Department, everybody.